Tariffs are just the beginning of MAGA. This man knows what he's doing. As one of the wealthiest, if not the wealthiest president ever in the United States, knows it better than us that tariffs cause more harm than good. What if I tell you the economical reset is now in order to set up the next economical boom in 3 years? And most importantly, beyond the presidential political agendas, can we position our investment to take advantage of the next bull market? In this video, you will learn how the economical cycle works. You will see how the past economical data will help us understand the US economy under the Trump's presidency. This is not just my conspiracy theory. Everything I share here is backed by economical data, but if you enjoy more, look at it as a conspiracy theory if you like. I'm Cody Yeh, the host of USA Update Show. I'm not a financial advisor, I'm just an economical geek that likes to understand macroeconomic to help you make better investing decisions. So I think Trump has 3 key stages in his blueprint. First year is the reset. Second year is to reduce the interest rate. The third and the fourth year is to ride along the economical boom and claim it has its own credit. Let's dive into why economical reset is due now. I'll briefly go over the pros and cons of tariff to make sure you're on the same page. The pros of the tariff is that it will produce more revenue for the country that's imposing tariff on another country. It also supports the country protecting their industry in the infancy. Now, the con is that if one country starts posting tariff, another country will actually retaliate and they start all this tariff and they start imposing a lot of exceptions and then they double down on the tariff and then they use this as a negotiating tactics. If you want to learn more details about tariff, you can watch this video after finishing the current video. Next, I want to point out the 3 factors that's tracked closely to decide where the economy cycle is at. And that's GDP, employment rate, and the policies. First, we're going to go into 1981 to 1989. First, we're going to look at Ronald Reagan's presidency period. Here, we're going to look at the GDP growth between 1980 to 1990. So 1981 is when President Reagan was elected. Immediately after it was elected, the GDP dropped from 2.5 to negative 1.8. Again, that's the first year of his presidency, or second year, right? But right after that, there's a strong rebound to 4.6 and then to the 7%. So guess what? Do you think he's reelected? Well, next up we have our friend Barack Obama, who was the president for the United States in 2009 to 2017. In terms of GDP, President Obama has the best, right? He got elected when the 2008 happened. So 2009 went straight into a negative GDP of 2.6%, had a strong rebound in 2010. Again, the same trend is happening. First and second year, we have a reset, have a recession or a decline in GDP, and then have a strong rebound the year after. In terms of unemployment rate of President Reagan, since the start of his presidency in 1981, the unemployment rate increased from 7.4% to the next year of 10.8%. That's really high because right now it's sitting at about 4%. And right after the first year, it started dropping down all the way to the end of his presidency. Again, do you guys see the trend? What about during President Obama? Starting with 8.3 and then immediately went up to 9.9 and then the country just becoming stronger and stronger and the unemployment rate dropped to about 5.2%. The unemployment rate started climbing into 2010, which is the first year of his residency, and it started going down 4 years after. Now, let's get into the policy part, and this is very interesting. When Reagan took office, the economy was one of the double-digit inflation and interest rate was near 20%, and people complain about 4% interest rate is too high. During the campaign, Reagan promised to restore the free market from excessive government regulation and encourage private initiative and enterprise. Basically, you want to cut back on red tape and boost business activity. What about Barack Obama into the first year of his presidency? To combat the effects of Great Recession, President Obama signed the American Recovery and Reinvestment Act, known as the Recovery Act, in February 2009, which outlined a policy to create additional jobs, extend employment benefits, and establish the President's Economic Recovery Advisory Board. So we can clearly see that during the economic reset in year 1 for President Reagan and President Obama, this just happened in the last 40 years, is that they all experienced a reset in the first year, and then everything just started thriving in the second and third and fourth year. Now you might be wondering, Cody, why is there an economical reset? Why is this required? Because Donald Trump has been pressuring the Feds to reduce the interest rate. And the Fed's Jay Powell is like, Donald Trump, I don't care who you are, I don't report to you, I only look at data. So Donald Trump is like, okay, if you want data, here we go. I will show you the data. I will crash the market. I will crash the business. I'll crash consumer spending to show you that we are in a recession and we need a boost by reducing interest rate. And during economical downturn, Feds usually drop the rate to help boost the GDP back to the target of 2% per year. And here are some of the key highlights when the Feds see that there's a slowdown in the economy or during this reset. Central banks cut rates when the economy slows down to reignite the economical activity and growth. And the goal of cutting rate is to cut the cost of borrowing so that people and company are more willing to invest and spend. And the interest rate reduction will spill over to mortgage rates, home sales, consumer credit, consumption, and even the stock market. So the reason for reviewing this graph is that we want to see if there's any correlation between the interest rate, recession, and the stock price. This chart might look really busy, but I'll explain briefly. Okay, the gray lines are all the recessions, and the blue line here is the S&P 500 index price. And down the horizontal line is the timeline from 1976 to 2001. On the vertical line is the interest rate level. First recession we're going to look at is 1990. You will see that during this recession, interest rate was dropped from 7.5% roughly to 3.3% within a span of 2 years. And the stock price dropped a little bit but continued to go up after the interest rate has been dropped. Okay, let's look at the next one. During 2000 recession, the interest rate dropped from 6.5% all the way to almost near zero within a span of 3 years, and the stock market continued to go down but started recovering right after. Now what about 2008? We all know that there's a financial crisis and the stock market crash. During the credit crisis, the stock market plummeted. Also, the Feds dropped the rate from about 4.5% to near zero within a span of just 1 year. But then the year after, the stock market started boosting up and the interest rate stayed as low as 0% for almost the next 6 years. What about during the COVID timing in 2020? Again, during a recession, the stock market dropped about 30%. The interest rate dropped from 2.5% all the way to zero and hold it there for about 2 years before it started hiking it back up to 4.5%. But you will see that the stock market only dropped by 30% and then recovered really fast and start going up for the next 2 years until the interest rate has been hiked. In 2010, Fed's Chairman Ben introduced the concept of wealth effect. As the Fed's chairman reduced the interest rate, stock price rose and long-term interest rate fell when investors began to anticipate this additional action. Easier financial conditions will promote economical growth. For example, lower mortgage rates will make housing more affordable and allow more homeowners to refinance. Lower corporate bonds rate will encourage investment. And higher stock price will boost consumer wealth and help increase confidence, which can also spur spending. So sum it up, when the interest rate is reduced, there's more money floating in the market, business will have a lower cost of borrowing, consumer will feel like they have more money because the stock market goes up and there's a cost of borrowing goes down, so they'll go ahead and spend more money and the economical machine continue to run. Now that we've gone through the first year of economical reset and the second year of the Fed's cutting rate, before we go into year 3 and year 4, how we can ride off this economical boom, I'll ask for a big favor, which is to click the like button and hit the subscribe. It's only 2 clicks, but it's a tremendous help to this channel. So if you get some value, I really appreciate with those 2 clicks. Now, let's get back to year 3 and year 4 bull market. We'll be looking at employment between the age of 25 to 64, and also historical S&P 500 prices and historical real estate prices when the reset happened and interest rate dropped and in the 3rd and 4th year. Let's first look at the employment to population ratio between the age of 25 to 54. As you will see in the 1990 recession, the employment went down from 80% to about 77%, and in the span of a few years, and then start recovering back in about another 2 years. And then continue boom into the 2000. And then during the 2000 recession, employment rate dropped again from 82 to about 78. And then after a few years, continue boom up again until the next recession. And this time it really dropped from 80% to 75%. And just within 2 to 3 years of dropping the rate, the employment rate continued to go up in the next 9 years. And now you might be wondering, Cody, what about the stock market? If we look at this graph again, 1990, rate drop, stock market goes up. 2000, rate drop, the stock market go down first and then go back up in the next 8 years. This time recession again, rate dropped to 0. The stock market went down for about 1 year and recover for the next 6 years. During COVID, the rate dropped to nearly 0. The stock market dropped for 30%, but quickly recovered in 3 months and continued to go to all-time high in the next 2 years. Now, this graph doesn't really show the most recent time. That's why I go to the S&P 500 to show it to you here. We'll be using the S&P 500 as the benchmark. So during the 2000, the stock market dropped from $1,500 down to about $800 within a span of 2 years, and then immediately start recovering into 2008. Now during the 2000 crash, it went from 1525 to about 800 again. And this is when the Fed started dropping rate and the stock market started recovering from 09 all the way to 2013 to recover back to its original high. What about a more recent time of recession during COVID? Right, COVID, the stock market dropped about 30% and the Fed basically dropped the rate to 0. The stock market dropped 30% in 1 month and recovery in about 3 months and continue to go up for the next 2 years when the interest rate is low. What about this time around? About 2 months ago, we were at an all-time high. And then Donald Trump was elected. According to this plan, the first year he's going to reset and try to push the market down to force the Feds to cut the rate. And then the stock market will very likely continue to go up afterwards. But we don't know how deep this will go, so be ready and plan for it. Now, what about the housing market? We're going to look at the Fed's economical data. Again, all these gray area are historical recession. So let's look at the more recent ones, right? The 1990, you will see the house price drop from 126.8K down to 117K and then slowly recovering over the next 3-4 years. What about 2000? A little bit choppy, right? A little bit choppy. 2001, 179,000, dropped down to 172,000 and then immediately rebounding because of the rate drop and continue to go up into 2007. And then when the recession happened, the government started dropping rate. Guess what? 2008 happened, dropped the rate in 2009 and just start recovering for the next 3 years and went to all-time high in 2018. And during the COVID, when the recession happened, the market dropped from 329 down to 317 and then immediately start recovering because of the reduction of interest rate. And here we are again, the market has been kind of flatlined for the last few years. So Donald Trump is really running out of ideas to how to push the market up without the help of the reduction in interest rate. So therefore, this financial reset in the first year and the reduction in interest rate in the second year and the third year and the fourth year is the boom could really make sense. There you have it, is my detailed breakdown of what's going to happen in year 1 of the financial reset and in year 2 how Donald Trump is going to force Feds to reduce the interest rate and how year 3 and year 4 historically with the reduction in interest rate, housing price goes up, stock market goes up, people are more willing to spend because all of these wealth effects. If you guys find any value in today's video, don't forget the favor I asked for the 2 clicks. And if you guys want to learn more about tariff, you can finally go watch this video and I'll see you guys in 2 days.